Friday, the 22nd of November, we're here live at the Focus and Disability Foundation here in East London. And I'm joined by another community ambassador. She's a published author. It's a pleasure to meet Mrs. Adebayo. Welcome to Africa for You in conjunction with Zimlink. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
And I'm sure our listeners around the world want to know a bit about yourself, your background, and what inspired you to start writing in the first place.
My name's, like I said, is Ibitola Ojoye Adebayo. I started writing a couple of years ago, and that was during my maternity leave. But it was by accident. Most of the reason I started writing was mostly just to jot my thoughts and feelings down, and then I put that away. But last year I wanted to do something special for my wedding day, so I didn't know what it was. So I was sitting around one day and I came across the notebook I was writing in, and I realised that what I was writing was going in another direction, and I didn't even realise I had that talent. So I picked it up again and I just started drafting it into a book, and that's how Acceptance was born. I would say my mother would be the key person to thank for me even having that notion that I was going to write, because when I was younger, she placed me in boarding school in Nigeria, and she used to send books to me in Nigeria, but I didn't see her for 5 years. So her sending books to me and presents, I always ignored them because I felt I was abandoned. So I always ignored them. But I felt that, okay, I'm making this statement, but my mum's not here to see it. So eventually I picked up those books and I started reading it. From that day on, my passion just grew, and I just started reading, and that's how my love grew in. I became a big fan of Virginia Andrew books and Stephen King. So that's why I write along those lines, and their lines of their vision. But I have my own individuality in the way I write as well.
Now, before we talk about acceptance and the trilogy, it's a very, very fascinating piece. But what kind of subject matter and themes normally runs through your writing?
Family. That's the key. Family, the relationship in the family, as well as the external relationship we develop and basically the whole theme behind my writing is family, because family is very important to me.
Can you remember the precise moments the first book, Acceptance, was born, and the very first thoughts that ran through your mind?
The very first thought that ran through my mind was I wanted to write a book which connected to other African girls like myself, as well as Africans globally, as well as other cultures globally. If it can connect to Africans in general, that was a plus. But if it connected to everybody around the world, that was a major plus for me. Yeah.
In your experience, what role does a writer have in the world we live in today?
I say as a writer, we have a very important role in telling the story. You have to tell the story. If you're writing fiction, you have to tell a story that connects with your fans. Tell a story that other people want to read about, want to know, in a way they also learn from it. If you're telling a non-fiction story, if you're writing a non-fiction book, you need to also tell the facts. Research your facts and tell it so that people understand and want to be more interested in going out there and knowing more about that.
Now Oyibo don't talk to say. Now one-eyed man will be
joined by another community ambassador. She's a gospel artist making profound waves at the moment. Her name is Dolly P. Welcome to Africa for You in conjunction with Zimlink. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you for the very first time, and I'm sure I've heard a lot about your music from different circles, but I'm sure our listeners around the world are dying to know a bit about yourself, your background, and what inspires you as a person.
Well, basically, a lot of people actually think I've been doing this for a long time, but I haven't actually been doing it for that long, technically, compared to a lot of people in the music industry. I've been doing this for about 2 years, roughly, professionally, and I'm just somebody that God has handpicked, and I'm truly grateful to Him, and my inspiration is the Holy Spirit. I have, since I entered a talent show in my church, and I won the talent show, and that since has then become the beginning, and since then, I've recorded about 7 songs. I'm working on my first album. I've written over 350 songs. I've been nominated for and won over 15 awards, up to date gospel music awards. So I'm just blessed. I'm a combination of a female David, Solomon, Esther, all put together. So, yeah.
And today we're here at the Focus on Disability Foundation initiative, which is very inspirational and colorful. What does a day like this mean to you?
A day like this, it actually brings to light what's going on in society, not in Africa in this particular case, and it's so refreshing to see people gather together for such a great cause. And I can only wish and hope that, a lot of people are informed, educated about it, so that we can reach out to our brothers and sisters who are, in one way or the other, by no fault of theirs or other, in this position.
Now, we've just watched your wonderful performance, and I've interviewed loads of gospel artists around the world. I must ask you, what inspires your music besides God?
What inspires my music is basically it's also a little bit about my life. It's about a testimony about my life as well. I prayed a prayer a long time ago, and I didn't really know the meaning of the prayer. I said, God, make me a living testimony of your miraculous works. But then for that to happen, tests had to happen for testimonies to happen. So a lot of the inspiration comes from, as well, my own personal life, to encourage somebody out there to say, you know what, don't lose hope, don't give up. The tomorrow is going to be better.
Babalawo medicine I put. All of us must get the medicine. Traditional medicine before
And
I
I'm here
come
joined
on
by another one who is supporting the event. He's a community ambassador, a TV and radio presenter and icon, and also a motivational speaker. He has his fingers in so many pies. So it's a pleasure to have right here in the studio today, Mr. Richard Olayinka. Welcome to Africa for You in conjunction with Zimlink. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
And for the benefit of all our listeners around the world who haven't still heard much about you, even though you're still creating waves, can you tell the listeners around the world just a bit about yourself, your background, but most importantly, what brings you here today?
I call myself a man of many parts. Firstly, I'm a multi-instrumentalist singer. I play in the church right now. I was a public musician before I played juju, but now I concentrate on serving God with my gifts. And I'm an author, radio and TV presenter. I'm based in London, and I'm at this event today to support the Focus on Learning Disability, which is a great opportunity to help people see why we need to include people with learning disabilities and the benefit that we can really get from them, and how we can really make things better for them as well.
What does a day like today mean to you?
Wow, a day like this is really emotional for me, like I said in my speech, because I have an uncle who suffered from Down syndrome, who wasn't really taken care of, and even he was neglected. That it was a mosque. It was a mosque that actually was, making him feed, caring for him, feeding him, housing him, and he had families. Although I was very small at that age, but I didn't really understand how that meant until when I came into the United Kingdom and I studied for learning disability nursing in West London University. So I appreciate people with learning disability more, and I believe they are also an individual in their own respect.
Now, as you know, disability, the issue of disability is still a big problem in Nigeria today. And to an extent, there are lots of even stereotypes and myths behind it. How do we overcome the problem of disability in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's one, we need to educate people that learning disability is not caused by the gods of Africa. We have to know that it is scientific. And if we know it's scientific, which means we have no control over the kind of a product of a child a mother will give birth to. It's neither the fault of the mother, it's neither the fault of the father, nor even the ancestors. We have to educate people to let them know that it is scientific and they also are individuals.
Fantastic. Now, for the benefit of all our listeners around the world today, what message do you have to people around the world talking more about disability as a subject matter?
Oh, the specific and the special message I have to everyone is an individual. And when I say everyone is an individual, I mean no one is better than the other. We just have to support each other, and that's what's going to make the world go round. And even if you find people with disability, give them a little help, and every little help really counts.
Them get spoiled themselves with this style, yo. Make I tell you more.
Hi, I am MC Tunebela. Today I'm with Zimlink, and we're here for the Focus on Disability Foundation. I have with me here an international speaker. He's a broadcaster, he writes, he's a poet, he's a mentor. This guy is an embodiment of who you want to be like. When I grow up, I'd like to be what he looks like and what he does. I'll let him speak to you and tell us. His name is Tony Fernandez. How are you today, Tony?
I'm very well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be at such a colorful event today.
I've seen so much about you on Facebook. It's my first time meeting you actually in person and chatting to you. It's so warm. It's such a happy feeling to meet someone like you. How did you get to where you are today?
For me, every day is a new beginning for great things. And I started writing at the age of 9, which is my first and foremost passion. I was inspired by my mother back in Nigeria many years ago. From then, writing being a branch of creativity, I expanded into other forms of creativity: short stories, presenting, comparing, talking, media, and all sorts. And to me, it's just about passion, commitments, and values.
Recently, you've had all the awards around in the UK. How do you stay humble? You look very simple, very humble. How do you do it?
To me, awards are a great thing to acknowledge people doing great things in the community. But the most important thing in life for me as value is to be selfless and to serve the people you believe in. Because as role models in our community, what we do, we try to set example, people follow. And so money, for instance, is a great passion for many people. For me, it's a second or third passion, because once we're inspired by our values, the passion from our heart speaks. And so that's why I try to remain simple.
Right, I must say I'm really impressed, because very few people around, when they start to make waves, when they start to become popular, it's then difficult. They become less approachable, and with time they just sorry, I'm busy. Oh, sorry, maybe next time. But you're not like that. You're very open. You're very warm. We're here today to support the Focus on Disability Foundation. How did you hear about them?
Well, I met Abby for the very first time a few weeks ago at the True African Heritage Awards, organized by Adenuga, and he told me briefly about Focus Foundation, which apparently I've heard about before. And that's when he informed me of a very inspirational day like this. And I must say I feel very honored to be part of today's event, because I've learned so much just looking around me.
I must say it's very nice meeting you, Tony. We look forward to meeting you more in future and working together. Thank you so much.
I'm joined by another profound community ambassador. His name is MC Tunde Bella. Welcome to Africa for You in conjunction with Zimlink. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Tell me, what brings you here today?
Today I came here because of my love for people, my love for those who need help, my love for those who some people call them the disabled. I call them people who need help to achieve their full potentials. When Abe spoke to me about the foundation today, the foundation is having a program today. I was very impressed because he's done all of it by himself, him and his family, before start getting people involved. And I saw pictures of what he's done to help the community, giving wheelchairs to people who cannot walk around, showing love. He was even telling me he sometimes goes to homes to help them wash plates and all of that. That is someone who's got love for people around him. And because I'm a humanitarian and believe in supporting people when I can, that's the reason I'm here to support the movement. And I did a talk about disability, the Nigerian factor, because I've got Nigerian roots. So yeah, I just did a piece.
Now, talking about disability, the Nigerian factor, and like many Nigerian notes, sometimes it takes humanitarian effort to make a difference, even in Nigeria. What would you like to see improve with regards to disability in Nigeria?
First and foremost, I have to say that in the UK, where we live now, we used to have people, years and years ago, we used to have people on the streets begging for alms. But because the government looked at how they can give these people a better life, they put in measures, and now you can't see that on the streets. So I think this is one thing, because we need to look around and learn from people who are doing things well. So I think this is something I would like to see in Nigeria. It's happening in Lagos at the moment. We're seeing the leadership of Lagos State taking people out of the streets and putting them in homes, but we need to do a bit more. Most public offices, most public buildings in Lagos, in Nigeria at large, do not have rail access, the ramp access. So if, for example, someone who's on the wheelchair wants to go to a hotel, which is supposed to be for public use, and they cannot get into the lift, they cannot get on the stairs. So we need to look at how we can incorporate these things into the society so that everyone has a fair opportunity. I saw a video on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the man now. He's on the wheelchair and he's got 2 PhDs. So those are people who are making an effort. We just need to support them and get them back into the mainstream.
On a very final note, and on the subject matter of disability, what message you have for all our listeners around the world?
I want to say to everyone listening that disability can happen to someone at any point in life. Some people are born that way not because they chose to, but because of things beyond their control. Some people used to have a normal life and then had accidents and became disabled. So just think of yourself in a situation where you can help. Help because you don't know where you'll be next 2 years, 3 years, We don't know what can happen tomorrow. What we do today will be helpful to those around us, and then it comes back to us. If you do good, it comes back to you.